Imagine building a company so powerful that its name becomes part of language itself. You don't ask for a tissue, you ask for a Kleenex. You don't search the web, you Google it. And for most of the 20th century, millions of people didn't just take photographs, they captured their lives on Kodak.
Fast-paced graphic showing a factory line, film rolls moving at high speed, NASA lunar orbit photographs. By the 1970s, Kodak wasn't just a camera company, it was the industry. It controlled over 80% of film manufacturing and photo development in the US. From everyday families to NASA's Apollo missions, the world trusted Kodak. From the outside, it looked unstoppable. But history has a habit of humbling giants. Because sometimes, the greatest threat doesn't come from a rival. It comes from inside your own walls.
In 1975, a 24-year-old Kodak engineer named Steven Sasson assembled an experimental device using a new Fairchild CCD sensor. It didn't use film. It captured light, converted it into electronic data, and recorded it onto a magnetic cassette tape. It took 23 seconds to process a single black and white image with a resolution of just 0.01 megapixels. By today's standards, it was primitive. But hidden inside that awkward prototype was the death of film.
When Sasson demonstrated the invention to Kodak leadership, it triggered a terrifying realization. If photography no longer required film, what happens to a multi-billion-dollar business that sells film? The digital camera wasn't locked in a vault or ignored. That's a popular myth. Kodak's engineers actually perfected digital tech throughout the 80s, securing thousands of patents. So if Kodak saw the revolution coming, why didn't they lead it?
The answer wasn't a lack of technology. It was a golden cage. Kodak's entire empire was built on high-margin film and chemistry. Every click of the shutter meant buying film and paying for development. Digital photography threatened to wipe out both in an instant. To executives, digital cameras were expensive, low-resolution, and battery-draining toys. Why sacrifice billions in guaranteed film profits today for an unproven digital market tomorrow? They assumed they had time. But technology doesn't ask for permission.
Year after year, sensors improved, storage got cheaper, computers hit consumer homes, and the future arrived far faster than Kodak's corporate machinery could adapt. Japanese tech giants like Sony, Canon, and Nikon weren't chained to film revenues. They poured resources into autofocus systems, compact sensors, and instant digital playback. No waiting days for development. No film rolls. Instant gratification.
Kodak was still in the race. It owned the patents and built its own digital models, but it was no longer setting the pace. The companies chasing the future had become the ones defining it. Brands alone cannot stop an industry from evolving. As film sales plummeted, Kodak launched digital cameras and restructured repeatedly. But digital cameras had tiny profit margins compared to film. The math simply didn't work. Mounting debts and declining revenues pushed the 120-year-old icon to the brink.
On January 19, 2012, Eastman Kodak filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. The titan that defined photography for a century collapsed. Not because it failed to invent the future, but because it couldn't let go of the past. And Kodak wasn't the only one to make this mistake. Just a few years earlier, another giant dominated an entirely different industry. Millions walked through its doors every weekend. It had the chance to buy its ultimate competitor for pennies, and said no. That company was Blockbuster.